Lawmakers in Utah are advancing a bill aimed at combating a heinous crime overseas and preventing Americans from inadvertently contributing to forced organ harvesting.
The bill stops insurance companies from paying for organ transplants performed in China, where the ruling Chinese Communist Party kills prisoners of conscience and steals their organs to support its organ transplant industry.
Cynthia Sun, a researcher at the Falun Dafa Information Center, told me more about this.
Thank you for your time, Kevin. And honestly, this legislation introduced by Utah, in the larger context, I would say it's incredibly important, and it follows in the footsteps of Texas and Arizona, who have legislation of their own to target forced organ harvesting in China. And when it comes to issues affecting Americans, I would say that forced organ harvesting really targets Americans in the most nefarious fashion. Imagine your mother or your father needs a life-saving transplant, and they're recommended by their doctors or other people that they trust to go to China or reverse match it, which can get them a heart, a lung, a kidney within 2 to 4 weeks, as opposed to years, right, in America. And I really think that more Americans need to wake up to this, and the Utah legislation provides just that, a way for Americans to say, no, I don't know where my organs are coming from. I don't want to take another person's life just for this, and I refuse to participate in the CCP's persecution.
And a little background in this, Cynthia. Han Yu of New York, she told Utah lawmakers at a committee hearing she believed that her father was a victim of this organ trafficking. He was healthy, then he was detained, died in detention in China in 2004. His body came back. It was extremely thin. He had stitches from throat to abdomen. There was blocks of ice underneath it. The police said that it was because of an autopsy, but she said her family never authorized an autopsy. She later found out that the Chinese regime kills people for their organs in order to boost up their transplant industry. So this is just really just terrible here. What's the scale that the Chinese regime operates this organ trafficking on?
I mean, just to your point, right? Many estimate that this industry is $1 billion per annum industry, this murder for profit. And on top of Han Yu's story, which is incredibly sad and incredibly gruesome to hear, in the past year, I've interviewed dozens of survivors from, prisons in China who have recently escaped to different regions around the world. And they're all Falun Gong practitioners who share a similar story. While they were detained in custody, while they were being tortured, they were actually forced to have blood tests and physical examinations. And this is something that's unheard of because they would call Falun Gong practitioners individually and not all people in custody. So it was definitely something that was targeted. It was something that was intentional.
Just briefly here, Cynthia, what can people do if they are concerned? Are there petitions they can sign or anything like that?
Yeah, there's petitions all over. End Transplant Abuse has petitions, but I would honestly recommend people to just tell people about it, because if there isn't a supply for organs in China, then there will be no more killing of Falun Gong practitioners and other innocent prisoners of conscience like these for organs. So if you just talk to your family members who are in need of life-saving transplants, if you inform your hospital, if you work at a hospital or school, then I think if word gets around, I think that's something that could potentially be more powerful than legislation itself.
Cynthia Sun, researcher at the Falun Dafa Information Center, thank you so much for your update on this.
Thank you.